Hi everyone. So as you know, our topic this term is responsibility. And for the first half of PSHE, for the summer term, we're going to be thinking about how responsibility is linked to this word, democracy. So we're going to be thinking about our country and how it is ruled, who is governed, who takes responsibility for the things that happened in our country, and what is our responsibility also. Now, this is my first question for you to think about. Okay, who rules Portugal? Who is ultimately in charge and makes the decisions? Is it the president, the government, including the prime minister, the police, the army, the people? Okay, and as we're going to find out, all of these people have some role to play in responsibility for Portugal, but we're going to learn a little bit more about who is in charge. So, we have a system of government which is called democracy. Now, the word democracy means rule by the people, and it's got Greek origins. It comes from the Greek word demos, which means people, and kratos, which means rule or strength. So technically it means that the people have rule or the people have strength. And it was developed in about 507 BC, so a long time ago now, and the Greeks tried it out. They did it for about 100 years. They used democracy, and it was different than the way we see it, but they found that it was a pretty successful way of running the country. However, democracy ended for them when they were invaded by another country. But that is where it comes from, this idea of democracy. Now, you might be thinking, how can everybody rule? How can all of the people rule? Because that would just be chaos. But that is why we have elections, because through elections and through voting, we choose somebody who we want to represent us, okay? So instead of all the people in the country having, going to meetings, talking about decisions, we decide actually we want somebody to go and speak on our behalf. We want somebody to make the decisions for us. So in Portuguese elections, for the national elections, we vote for a political party. Okay, and there's different parties, and all the parties have different policies. So people will choose to vote for a party according to those policies. So together, the people who belong to the party agree on the changes they will make if they are elected, and these are called the policies. So running up to a national election, there'll be posters, signs saying, this is our policy, these are the things we're going to do if you vote for us. And each party has a leader. And normally what happens is if that party gets the most votes, they become prime minister. Now we're going to find out more about the Portuguese political system in next week's lesson or the week after. But for the moment, we're just thinking about the idea of the fact that we vote for the party or the leader who we want to represent us and be in charge of us. Now, we know in Portugal, we also have a president who has a slightly different role, but we'll learn more about that at a later point. Now, first, something for you to think about. Can you name Portugal's two main political parties and their leaders? So there are two parties which normally get the most votes and are the most dominant in government. Do you know who they are? If not, maybe you can do a bit of research to find out. Now, every citizen in the country, so all the people that belong to the country, should listen to the views of the different parties and the different candidates and make their own decision about who they want to support. So according to what the different parties say and what their policies are, we need to think for ourselves, okay, I like this party because they say this, or I like that party. So we have a responsibility as citizens to listen and find out what the different parties represent. In order to vote and take part in an election, you have to be over the age of 18 years old. Some more questions for you to think about. Do you think that this is the right age for young people to be able to vote? Why? And if you don't, what age do you think people should be allowed to vote? Okay, so do you think that actually people should be given an option younger, Do you think that maybe it should be until people are a bit older that they should be allowed to vote? Why do you think this? Okay, so that's something else for you to ponder. Each person, voter, casts a ballot, which means on the day of the elections, they go to the polling station where they can do their voting, and they get given a bit of paper, and which is called ballot paper, and they put a cross by the name of the party that they would like to vote for. Okay, this is called a secret ballot, which means nobody else can see who you are voting for. I'm not entirely sure what happens in Portugal because I've not voted here yet, but normally you go into a special booth so nobody can see you. Why do you think that this is necessary? Why do you think we need to have secret ballots and that people should not look at what other people are voting for? At the end of the election day, all the votes are added up, and the party with the highest number of votes, the party that gets the majority, is declared the winner. And this is a big task that goes on all over the country, people counting the votes and sending them into a central position where they work out who has got the most votes. Now, I've included here a quote from Winston Churchill, which I thought was quite interesting. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of England a while ago, specifically during World War II. So we should all know about him because we learnt a little bit about that when we were doing World War II. And he said, "The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter." So he was saying that if we are saying that we shouldn't have a democracy, then go and have a chat with somebody that you find on the street. Now, this is a little bit interesting, and I kind of want you guys to think, what do you think he meant by this? What is he talking about? Why would talking to a person that you meet, if the Prime Minister or the President talks to the person that they meet, why do you think that would show that democracy isn't necessarily a good thing? Have a think. So, you've all been given talk partners, and what you need to do is you should be calling them at 2:30 was the suggested time, and discussing the questions that I've asked you in this video. Okay, so about the age of voting, why is it necessary to have a secret ballot, and what do you think that Winston Churchill meant by his statement about the argument against democracy? So I'd like you to have a chat with your partner about it, and to write down some of your ideas and send them. You can just send them on Teams on a chat to your teacher, to me or Miss Daunt, with your ideas about those different questions. Now, this week I've got an activity I'd like you to try and do. I would like you to hold a democratic vote in your household about an issue of your choice. So you need to explain to the people in your house what is a democratic vote. And I would like you to vote on something. So it could be which film you want to watch, what game you're going to play, who's going to do the washing up. And what would be great is if you could make some little ballot papers with the options and people to take a secret ballot, and they can put a cross next to their option. Then you'd need to collect them up and announce what is the winner or who is the winner. Now, if you manage to do that, then can you take a photo of your ballot papers and post it on Seesaw? That would be fantastic. Okay, so once you finish listening, you need to make some notes on your ideas for the questions and arrange when to call your talk partner to discuss. Okay, thank you.